CRM was supposed to improve customer relationships. Instead, it's shorthand for can't resolve much. Which means you may have sunk a fortune into software that just bounces customer issues around but never actually solves them. On the ServiceNow AI platform, CRM stands for something better. With AI built into one platform, customers aren't mired in endless loops of automated indifference. They get what they need, when they need it. Bad CRM was then. This is ServiceNow.
10 years from today, Lisa Schneider will trade in her office job to become the leader of a pack of dogs. As the owner of her own dog rescue, that is. A second act made possible by the reskilling courses Lisa's taking now with AARP to help make sure her income lives as long as she does. And she can finally run with the big dogs. And the small dogs, who just think they're big dogs. That's why the younger you are, the more you need AARP. Learn more at aarp.org/skills.
Hello everyone and welcome to Howie the Podcast. It's Gavin. You join us for another episode of From the Vault, a Rotor Report interview which previously has not been aired, not heard before. And because it's the summer, we thought, why not? Let's go through the archives. Anything you guys haven't heard before, we'll release. And the other week we had Michael Turner, which you might have heard. That was on last Sunday's episode. And that was a great interview with a player who obviously played for Sunderland in the Premier League under Steve Bruce. And previously, maybe a month or so ago, we had an interview with Bill Bradshaw, the journalist who uncovered the Swindon financial scandal of 1990, which got Sunderland promoted to the top flight. So if you haven't heard that one, make sure you search for it on your app, on your Apple Podcasts app or Spotify or whatever it is you use. And make sure you listen to that one because it's still very relevant and very good. But today we've got an interview with another former Sunderland player and somebody who didn't play a lot of games for the club and didn't feature a great deal but has some amazing stories to tell. And that's Martin Woods, who went on to play for a number of clubs in England and up in Scotland too. And it was a fascinating chat between him and Chris, conducted back in 2022, I believe. So this one is slightly dated by a few years, but nonetheless, interesting things to talk about. He was at the club under Mick McCarthy, so lots of good stories to tell. I'm sure you'll enjoy listening to it. And let us know who you want to hear from. We've got plenty of contacts in the game and we want to get more of these interviews done, more up-to-date modern ones too. We've got some in the pipeline for the rest of the summer. But if there's anybody in particular you want to hear us chat to, why not let us know? Let us know on Twitter, email, and wherever else you can find Rotor Report. Anyways, that just leaves me to say here's Chris. Enjoy the show. Make sure you get subscribed. See you later.
Hello everyone, I'm Chris Wynn and welcome to where we're looking back once again to speak to a former player who this time played for Sunderland as a young 19-year-old during a time of huge change for the club. But isn't it always, to be fair, when it comes to Sunderland? And he went on to have a successful career with 12 clubs, including the likes of Rotherham, Doncaster and Barnsley. And we're very pleased to be speaking to Martin Woods. Hello, Martin.
How you doing, mate? All right, good to be on.
Yeah, I'm not doing too bad, except I think we've picked the hottest day of the century, to be honest.
Let's just melt on a podcast. I'm looking forward to it, mate.
It's absolutely ridiculous. I'm sweltering, and I can hear the bands outside, which is but they're obviously having fun. But there you go. Well, how are you keeping? Anyway, you doing okay?
I'm all good, mate. Thanks. I'm just currently training now, mate, with my 20th year now in football, so my 19th pre-season because I joined Leeds when I was kind of halfway through the season, so 19th pre-season in this heat's never enjoyable, mate, to be fair. It's tough. There's been a tough week this week to do that.
I mean, how do you do it? Because like I say, I mean, I broke sweat walking up the stairs, to be honest. So I mean, I can't imagine it getting any easier.
No, it's this is the worst week, mate, I think I've ever done in pre-season, and it's just so humid in that. It's you start the warm up and then you're like, oh dear me, yes, it's going to be long. So the sessions are pretty long at the club I'm at now as well. So standing out there for a long period of time, mate, it's been hard graft. So might fall asleep halfway through this podcast, mate. Just shout my lug and I'll be back in the game.
Right, I'll have to keep making it interesting then. But we'll come back onto the current day when we get towards the end and how you're doing with Halifax. But we'll come back round to that because I wanted to get back to Celtic where you started, a club that you were brought up on, family full of supporters of the club. But as you were on the road to kind of, well, it seemed like kind of fulfilling your dream to play for Celtic and on your way to doing that, you left to go to Leeds. You had the choice of Liverpool, Tottenham, Manchester United. So, considering that must have been an ambition, was it a tough one to go to Leeds?
When it was a hard one, mate, because when I got to kind of 14, they were saying you can't play with Scotland, you can't. They wanted you to sign a form where nobody can really even come to the games and watch you. It was literally so. Then when you get to 16, they were still expecting me to sign, but it was like. When I was going to come 16, they thought I would have just went down to England and kind of had a look around, and then I'd eventually made my way back because I'm a kind of big Celtic fan. But it's not a nice thing they used to do back then. It was kind of not allowing any of the players to be seen by anybody else with an international team or maybe even your school team. I mean, they're taking the fun out of it altogether. It was like times where you'd like to have fun with your mates. It was just all sapped out you. So it was a decision based on, I don't know, at a young age, I just really fancied going to England. And although my dream was to play with Celtic, which I never turned out good enough to do in later years, I always wanted to go back up there and play with Celtic. But that never materialised, mate. But at a young age, I kind of always fancied going to England. I always kind of wanted to go to an English academy. And I actually went to Sunderland during my time as well, when I went to all those clubs when I was 14, 15. I went down to Sunderland for a couple of weeks actually.
All right, I'm trying to think who would that have that would have been under Peter Reid, maybe Ricky Sprazier at the time, was it?
I think the head of the academy was a guy. Is it Gavin? No, if I get that wrong.
Jed McNamee, maybe.
Jed was there when I went again, but yeah. Jed was there that time, yeah. I'm trying to think of the guy's name that was kind of running the team at the time. Can't even remember him, mate. But I went down with the year above. With kind of Richie Ryan. Trying to think who else eventually get games. I think Grant Ledbetter was in and around. He'd come in training sometimes. Ben Arnick, kind of Dan Smith. They were in and around that couple of weeks that I was in. So I did enjoy it there, to be fair, mate. But eventually I decided to go to Leeds. I just kind of get a good feel for Leeds at the time. They were flying, and the club was just really, it was kind of a lot of Scottish, even the coaching staff, a lot of them were Scottish. Eddie Gray, Roy Aitken, and then kind of the younger ones. It was, Pop Robson was the 19s manager. Warren Joyce, a guy who's kind of went on with Man U and stuff. So there was a lot of kind of good guys. Brian Kidd was head of academy. There was a lot of good guys in place there, and I just get the best real. So I ended up signing there. And I don't regret leaving Celtic, although it's my club that I still support now. I think it was kind of the best decision that I could have made, just to even make me grow up a bit quicker as well, mate, just to get away for the family and kind of fend for myself at an early age, which was good.
Yeah, I mean, God, you rattled some names off there. I mean, all of those names, I can imagine it was, with all of those people you mentioned, I imagine it was hard work. But I just can't imagine any of them letting you get away with any drop of standards. And imagine it being a really high standard that set at somewhere like that.
Yeah, it was. That was something that I always thought, that the standards were really high there. I mean, you'd different types of characters. Pop Robson he would kind of be in games and stuff. He'd be on your case a bit, getting you to do the right things. And Warren Joyce would be a quite big motivator, and then you always had Eddie Gray watching the games, and you were just kind of shit scared of him, to be honest, mate. You were always really worried about Eddie's watching the day, and he's got to pull me into the office and tell me I was brutal on Saturday. It always kind of you were on edge, and that brings the best out of you when you've got so many guys with high standards. You're always going to kind of push yourself as well as much as you can. So that was good.
Yeah. And I mean, some of the names he came through with in that youth team, I mean, James Milner was around, Scott Carson, Aaron Lennon, Matt Kilgallen, who went on to play for Sunderland. Some great players there. And I mean, obviously, James Milner is the kind of the one-off, I suppose. He made his debut at 16, which kind of rarely happens. But I mean, at the time, David O'Leary was, I mean, he was always talking about these kids he was bringing through all the time. So was it a youth team who always thought you had a chance of making that leap to the first team, especially after James Milner did it?
It's weird. See, when you're in the youth team, you've kind of, you don't really know what football's about. So you're thinking, oh, it's only a matter of time, a couple of years, and I'll be back. I'll be in the first team. You don't realise how hard work it is, and how lucky you would actually be, like James was. And I only played one game with Leeds, but I mean, that I was privileged to do that as well. I mean, not many people can kind of say that. They're such an amazing club, but I mean, Matt Kilgallen you mentioned there. Yeah, I've kept in contact with Matt ever since. That's my best mate. And Aaron Lennon was actually a lot more talented than James Milner, but Milner's graft, it just seen him, and look at him now still. He's an absolute machine, and he deserves everything he gets. He's obviously still top draw than out. That's just for pure graft, mate. And he got his chance just in the off chance. He went over training, hadn't even really played a reserve game, went over training, and he ends up doing well in training, gets on, scores in his debut, and the rest history, mate. He's took his chance, and fair play to him. So, although I was getting him dogs abuse with all the other boys, like how's he getting the game? But I think that's what you're like. A bit of pills came out when you're young. So, he deserves everything he gets, because any extras needing done, James would do that. He was in the gym constantly, and you can see now, mate, he's an absolute tank. So. That work rate stayed with him throughout his career, and obviously he's still playing at the top level at his age, which is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you don't play for the league champions and the European champions at this stage of his career if he's sitting around doing that, is it? So it's definitely, you can see
exactly
his graft. But yeah, I mean, James Milner came through, but at the time, you know, they've got the Leeds first team. Harry Kewell, Alan Smith, Mark Viduka, Robbie Fowler, Robbie Keane. I mean, all these names kind of just roll off the tongue, because Leeds had that cracking side at the time. I mean, we were often kind of called over to the first team to kind of join in or make up the numbers. I mean, it must have been, if you think, incredible to share a training ground with those players.
Yeah, you get the shout over, and I'll be honest, mate, didn't enjoy that shout whatsoever. I was like, here we go, man. Going over there to get dogs abuse off all these. So, I mean, that's what I mean. The standards were that high, and obviously I was kind of nowhere near their level. You'd be really in your comfort zone with like the resis and the youth teams and all the rest of it. You'd be loving it, and then as soon as that shout come over, you just shrivel up, mate, and then just do the walk over. You're like, oh no, just pick somebody else. Just be trying to hide behind a coat of mannequin or something. But it was a tough standard, and to be fair, there was some of them that were really helpful with you, and a couple that weren't so helpful, which I think that kind of stays with you as well. The ones that weren't great with the young boys. So that stands with me. That stood with me throughout my career, where I try and help young lads out. But that's just from there, just been treated how you've kind of been treated as a young guy. Like, you see things that you don't like, and you try and replicate the opposite going forward. And that's kind of stood with me, mate, because I mean, the way some of them would go on at you and even just walk past you in the corridor, I just thought, what's the point? Like, it's just not nice, mate. So yeah, it was the standard was through the roof, mate. Finishing drills and stuff, you'd watch these guys and just go, wow, I'm miles off it here. Like Fowler, you name all them strikers, mate. Robbie Fowler's finishing was outrageous compared to the rest of them. It was just goals every single time. It was target goals, chips, every club he had in the bag. So it was kind of gobsmack at times, even just watching them ply their trade, mate. It was brilliant.
Yeah, but I mean, at Leeds, I mean, it fell apart on and off the pitch under kind of David O'Leary, and then quick succession, you had Terry Venables, Peter Reid, then Eddie Gray. which is always tough, for a club when managers, there's that huge turnaround. But how is that for young players coming through? Because is it a case that I suppose Eddie Gray was in the youth setup, but more often than not, do you have to keep starting over again every time the club makes a change?
Yeah, because different managers get different outlooks. I mean, I don't think there was many young boys called up around Terry Venables. And to be fair, mate, it was rightly so, because we weren't really good enough to be called over. There were a lot better players when Terry Venables was manager. Peter Reid then got the job, and he gave me my squad number. He was the first one to give me a squad number, and he took me away pre-season with him. And then it changes. And then the one after that, Blackwell, he then just was not having young boys whatsoever. So the rest of them, they would have gave you a chance, I think, if you were good enough, but the standard was that high that there wasn't really many at all that were good enough, mate, until it got to the stage where the club get relegated, and a few years should have got more game time, I feel, how we were doing in training and stuff, and obviously dropping down a league, and then it just kind of fell into place that it was a manager that just really wasn't having young lads at all. He would rather go and get a guy who's played 400 games, maybe just kind of coming at the end of his career, but maybe not as good as a young guy, even technically, but he just liked that kind of style, which is fine. It's each to their own, but it wasn't very nice the way he'd speak to young lads and treat them either. So a lot of us kind of found it difficult under the last manager I had there with Kevin Blackwell.
Yeah. I mean, just in terms of that, that turnover in that period of time. I mean, I heard some amazing stories over the years from some of the ex-players on how big a mess, the club was in at the time. I mean, obviously, there's a famous one with Seth Johnson and, all of that sort of stuff. But, I mean, as someone coming through, did you get a sense of how kind of big a change it was going to be and how big a mess the club were in as you were coming through?
Not at all, mate. I think as a young guy, you're focused on every day in training. It's like, can I try and get my chance? You don't really appreciate the full picture of what's happening at the football club. So you're just kind of focused on when I get my chance, especially towards the end when all the financial problems started. And obviously you see some of the players go and you don't really budge on that, because I was only kind of 16, 17, 18. You don't really fix on that it's a real financial problem. You just think players are moving on, and until it gets to the stage where they get relegated, and you really see exactly what's going on financially, where it was big trouble, mate. And it was sad to see and sad to be around, because what a fantastic football club it is. It's got everything in place, and obviously now they're back to where I think they belong, and I feel the same about Sunderland as well, that they should be in the Premier League as well. It's just two fantastic football clubs that deserve to be there. So it was hard to watch that in the end up, and it was hard to watch a manager in place that I felt shouldn't have been anywhere near the football club, to be honest. As a man as well, the way he treat people, I think Leeds it's similar to Sunderland in the sense that it's working class and friendly, and it's a family feel to the club, and everybody's in it together and very passionate. To a guy come in who was kind of cocky and arrogant, and it just didn't represent the football club and the way that hangs. So that was sad as well to see that this guy was then in charge, and he ended up. He offered me coming to end my time there. He offered me a contract to stay, but it was on a bit less wages, and then it was just like I couldn't think anything worse than staying here with you, because it just the way it. I mean, I made my debut for Leeds against Sunderland, actually, mate.
Yeah, one game.
One game, in Boxing Day, and I remember I'm ready to go on as a sub, and Eddie Boothroyd had said to me. It had said to him down the touchline, it said, "Oh, put Woodsy on the left," and I was like, "Oh, brilliant! I'm going on." He said, and then, by the way, you allowed to swear on here? No.
You can say whatever you want.
All right. So I'm just trying to put the picture in what he said, mate. He just says, "Hey, the Freud, are you trying to fucking kill me or what?" And I was like, "I'm a young lad, 18, ready to go and make my debut for Leeds." And you hear that, and then 5 minutes later, you're called over to go on. You're thinking, "Oh, mate, you don't even want me to go on here. I've just heard you." And then he's put us on, and just a no nice guy at all, mate. So anyway, that the first kind of chance. As soon as I heard about at Sunderland at the end of the season, it was I couldn't wait to get away. To be honest.
Yeah. Well, actually, I mean, I was just going to say before the pause was because I thought you said that's what Kevin Blackwell said. I thought he was asking about swearing before you.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, I read though that when he came in, he kind of sent you off to Hartlepool. But and the weird thing was that I read, I don't know how true this was, but that you found out later that at the time Hartlepool came in, Sunderland wanted you on loan, but he didn't mention that at all.
Yeah, he never said a word. That's what summed it up, mate. And that happened to a lot of young lads. It was, how could he not make himself look bad? It was so if I went to Sunderland and started playing some games, then Leeds fans would be saying, well, they're ahead of us in the Leeds, and a young lad, you've let go there and you started playing it. It would have made him look bad. So I found out in the summer when I'd signed with Sunderland, Mick McCarthy says, I tried to get you in during the season. And I was like, what? I never even heard about that. And he's like, yeah, phoned them up, and because they wanted to swap John Oster. Leeds wanted John Oster, and they'd asked for me to go in the opposite way. And he just sent me at Hartlepool for 2 months, mate. The only club he said was interested was Hartlepool. So I went there for a couple of months, and then he then called me back just to sit around on the bench, like kind of travel with the squad. So he killed my kind of time there as well, that I was then back to kind of just being in the squad and not playing games at Leeds again. So it was not a nice guy, not a nice guy at all. So I was a bit gutted hearing that come this summer from Mick McCarthy, but obviously just buzzing to be there then, that I was there and delighted.
Yeah, I mean, because your contract was up. I mean, did you have a whole host of offers that kind of on the table? Were you kind of did you have a big decision to make that summer?
To be honest, mate, no. Couple of teams, but as soon as I heard about Sunderland, I'd actually spoke to Dave Bowman. Remember Dave Bowman, the scout, Mick McCarthy's head scout at the time?
Yeah.
Well, Dave actually done my boots for years since I was kind of 14 playing with Scotland. He used to send me night boots. So Dave phoned us when the season finished, and that's kind of how it went about. As soon as he phoned me, I was like, yeah, definitely, that's exactly, I'd be delighted to come there. So I wasn't going about try to chase it and say these are interested. That as soon as they phoned, my heart was set on it, and I couldn't really wait to get in the building, really. So the manager phoned us and went down, met him, and yeah, it was. I was absolutely delighted, to be fair.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're 19-year-old at the time, summer of 2005. You've just signed for Sunderland. We've just won promotion to the Premier League by winning the Championship. So when you signed for Sunderland, what was the picture that was presented to you to sign for Sunderland? It was like, look, you're a, we think you're a good prospect, and you can bide your time, and we want you to progress. Was that the kind of conversation you had?
That was it, mate. Yeah, it was basically that he liked us and come in, you'll be part of the squad. There was no promises of games or anything like that, mate. It was, Mick McCarthy is what you see, what you get. I thought he was really top drawer and really honest guy, and he just said to me, come in, work hard, and if you're doing well, you'll get your chance, pretty much like they'd say to any other young guys at that time. So that was enough for me, mate. You get somebody that's just, I'd heard, was very honest and very upfront, and he's giving you an opportunity, and if you're doing well, then you'll get your chance, and that was enough for me, mate. So there was no promises getting into the football club, certainly, because there was obviously Sunderland reserves at the time were actually pretty decent as well.
Yeah.
So, and the youth team obviously were decent as well. So it was, I was kind of just getting in as kind of reserve / kind of squad, first team squad member. So there was no promises of games, certainly.
Yeah, I mean, the players we speak to, and you hear players on other podcasts, and there's been quite a few under the cosh, but that have played for Mick McCarthy or had something to do with Mick McCarthy, but there's never a bad word said about Mick McCarthy, and everyone says he tells it how he is, and he gets the players' respect just by doing that.
Yeah, I'll be honest, mate. There's a lot of weasels in football. There's a lot of guys that will just tell you one thing you want to hear and then do the exact opposite, and that's not what you want. You want just kind of somebody that's what you see is what you get, and here it is. If you're not doing well, you're getting told you're not doing well. If you're doing well, then great, son. But listen, I think he's ahead of you now. Keep going, and you might get your chance down the line. That's all you want to hear. You want to just hear how you're going to get progression. And he was certainly very good with everybody, mate, to be honest. Even the lads that weren't playing, they really liked him. And I don't see how you couldn't like somebody that's just honest and upfront with you and naturally cares about everybody as a person. So he would do certain coaching, but he'd leave a lot to Taft to do. But he was a proper manager and a man's man, so I really liked him.
Yeah. I mean, on the back of that title and the kind of the squad that we had, because we had a bunch of really kind of young lads who Mick McCarthy had put together in that squad. I mean, that must have been a fantastic dressing room to come in, because I imagine everyone was kind of buzzing ahead of the Premier League season.
Yeah, mate, I know it was a horrendous season during that season, but that was one of my best times in football, and the banter was unbelievable. It was like the lads up there. I love the crack up the North East. I think it's brilliant. I was in tears every day, mate. Most of the like, it was some of the brand. It was just priceless, and I still keep contact with a few of the boys now that were there, and that doesn't really happen in football much, mate. Where you keep contact with somebody now for bloody hell, try to work out now, mate. 16 years.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen a lot, that. So it was a great dressing room to get into, and there was nobody big time whatsoever. Somebody came in a wee bit big time, they'd be knocked down straight away. If it was the manager, it'd be one of the older pros, and I mean, there was no safe place either. Like, even the older pros, the young lads would give them all sorts of grief, and it was brilliant. It was a proper free for all with banter, but when it was time to go out to work, it was switch on, and you knew you couldn't get away with anything with the manager. There was no messing about in the training ground, but getting that changing room, and it was great crack, to be fair.
Yeah. And I mean, considering we talked about that, the conversation you had with Mick McCarthy coming in as maybe the prospect to come through. I mean, you must have been, I don't know whether shocked or surprised or maybe not, when second game of the season, he puts you on the bench for the second game of the season away to Liverpool at Anfield, and we've kind of stayed in the game after Alonso put them ahead after about 25 minutes, and it's still 1-0 when you replaced Carl Robinson with about 10 minutes left in front of almost 45,000 at Anfield. I mean, at that point, you must have thought, well, that's the reason why I've come, playing at Anfield in games like that.
Aye, until you're on there, mate. On the pitch trying to get a kick. That was a dream come true, mate. That was amazing, and I didn't really fully appreciate it at the time, because you're just desperate to do as well as you can, and you believe in what you're doing. But when you look back, that was a dream come true, and an experience that I've never really had again. That to play at such a level like that against unbelievable footballers, it was. I never made the most of it, to be honest, mate. In the sense of just not fully believing in kind of what I was doing, and not understanding what I could bring to the party either, mate. I was a young guy who had hardly played any games, that I just hadn't learned my trade, and it just came all far too early for me.
Yeah, I mean, that game was a kind of sign of things, really, because Andy Welsh got sent off with about 15 minutes left. Andy, I can't imagine Andy Welsh putting himself about a bit. I can't remember what happened that day, but 15 minutes left. I can't remember what it was for, but he
You must
got
have
sent off.
you must have said something to the ref, mate, or kicked the ball away, because it wouldn't have been a tackle, would it have?
Well, it was a straight red by the looks of it, but
Was
I
it?
can't. Yeah, it looks like it. But
Wow.
he must have said something really bad to the ref, but I can't remember. I can't remember what it was for. But yeah, I mean, yeah, but that's the thing. I mean, Andy Wells got sent off, 15 minutes left, but we still kind of only get beat 1-0. So
I know.
we had a team of grafters who we always kind of stayed in games, but then never got any rewards at the end of games.
Yeah, that came from the manager, mate. It was just constant. It never say die attitude. That was him all the time. So you just keep going to the end and you just keep working hard. And but at the end, mate, it was a lack of quality, I think, that we had. I mean, me included. I just, for that level, I think you really need to be a top player. And we just had decent players and probably good championship players, but not enough top quality kind of Premiership players that would stick the ball in the net. And that's the hardest thing to do at that level. Obviously, you can stay in games, but putting that ball in the net, you need somebody with that real quality. And I feel as if we were lacking that a bit that season. And just good lads who could graft. That's probably why a lot of the games were pretty tight, mate. We were never really spanked that much, bar a couple of games. That was probably down to the manager, mate, because I think another manager would have had the same squad at that level. There could have been a few tough times, or even more tough times with bigger score lines, because I felt sorry for the manager looking back, mate, because if he got some backing at the time, I feel as if and got that kind of quality maybe that we didn't have, and then he had a good chance of keeping the team up, but we just weren't good, and it weren't good enough in a whole to be staying up that season at all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just looking at that game, I mean, just as an example, I mean, you came on with 10 minutes to go, but the other two subs who came on were Stephen Elliott and Chris Brown, which kind of shows how young our squad was when you look at the three players who got on from the bench. And even when you look at the starting 11, I mean, Liam Lawrence was early 20s, Dean Whitehead was 22, I think, 23. Andy Welsh was about the same age. I mean, quite quickly in that season, was the realization that everyone thought, you know, this is going to be tough.
Yeah, there was no real chat about it, but I mean, some of the lads actually done really well that season. I remember Liam Lawrence and Dean Whitehead, I felt as if they'd done really well throughout that season, even the Premiership. But the rest is, mate, I mean, I was a novice to the Championship, never mind the Premiership, and a lot of the boys were the same. They hadn't really played many games in the Championship because they were that young, and they came through the lower leagues. So the manager really done unbelievable in finding these boys to get promotion the previous season. And I feel as if maybe he just needed that bit of backing to go and then get these kind of proven Premiership players, or even a sprinkle of them, mate, to help out the younger lads. There was some good lads there, like good guys there, like Gary Breen was very helpful with the young boys, and I thought he was really top drawer as well. But there wasn't enough. There wasn't enough of them, mate. It was, as you say, it was a very young group that probably. But to get these guys in, that the manager probably needed, it would have cost a lot of money, and they never gave him the money to play with. So that was disappointing, obviously, looking back.
Yeah, and then I mean, you're on the bench for a few times from kind of the start of the season. I think you were on the bench 4 times, but then early in December, we're playing Tottenham Hotspur, White Hart Lane, and Mick McCarthy put you in the starting 11. I mean, was that a surprise, or were you kind of knocking on the door at the time?
Yeah. No, it was this, mate. I was. I mean, I got my first start against Arsenal in the cup, but then the first start in the league was against Spurs, and I'll be honest, mate. It was. I think somebody had a stomach bug. I think it was Tommy Miller had a stomach bug that morning. So, mate, I had kind of not even really prepared that well, mate. Like in the sense of eating a lot of food, because I'm just sat on the bench, and it wasn't really I was getting on that. I wasn't getting on many times, so I never ate that much. And I remember him coming up to me before we went on the bus. I think he wanted to time it so that the nerves weren't building up kind of all morning and all the rest of it. So the manager pulled me just before we went on the bus on the way to White Hart Lane. He just said, "You're playing." So I was just like, oh wow, here we go. So I was doing pretty well on the resis and stuff, mate, and I actually done not bad that game. I done all right against Tottenham, but obviously I hadn't ate enough food, and I ended up my stomach was doing somersaults by about 70 minutes. I think, mate, that game. And I said to him, like, my belly's in bits, and he just looked over it, and the way Mick McCarthy looked over at me as if, you fucking serious, mate? Like, what are you on about? It's not, I've got no energy anymore, I'm done. Like, he's like, right, all right. I think that went down like a bit of a shit sandwich. So, but in the build up to that, he was great with me. I mean, I remember playing with the reserves kind of throughout the season, in and out with Grant Ledbetter, and he'd always come in after the game and be very kind of complimentary between the two of us. And Grant was fantastic to play with. He's a really good footballer, and obviously still now. But he was always very good to the two of us coming in into the dressing room after the reserve games, and it was kind of edging towards something was happening, and then I got my chance, mate. And I don't actually know what happened the game after. Tommy might have come back fit again, and that was me taking our custard and sat on the bench again. But what an experience! I loved it, and just the build up to that game, mate. I mean, I remember sitting in the dressing room a bit, obviously a bit nervous and stuff. And Gary Breen just came up to us and he says, "Oh, this is a bit of you, son, out there. Look at the grass and the crowd," and just settles you down. You just makes you feel, like a guy like that saying that to you. Just the way with words, really calming influence, and that kind of stuck in my mind kind of ever since then. So there's just the wee small things that experienced guys do that settles you down, and he was very good at that, Breeny.
Yeah, but I mean, you mentioned you had to come off, but I'm going to blame you coming off for us losing the game, actually, because Latalik equalised.
Well, I don't know what to say it, mate. I don't know what to say that, but nah, to be fair, mate, not to me probably, but I was doing all right in the game, mate. I did actually do pretty well in the game, mate. I can remember actually a bit of banter, like in the way back. The day after the game, I used to hang about with a few of the lads, like Big Brownie and Ben Anick and stuff, and they used to always say a bit of crack. Because I'd be like, fucking hell, I got a 7 yesterday in the paper, and Robin at Chelsea, he get different game altogether, mate. Robin he get a 6. Does that mean that I'm better than him or not? Like, just fucking miles off of it, just not got a clue about life. So that was a great experience, mate. Great, and again, I never made the most of it, like in the sense of really soaking it up, that because I've never had that chance again, mate. I've played against Tottenham again since in the cup, but to play at that level against them, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, like I said, Michael Carrick scored the winner about 10-15 minutes after you came off, so that was obviously the reason.
Yeah, that's probably my man. That was my man, mate. So I'd have tracked him in there and cleared that. I know what you mean,
and then kind of icing on the cake, I suppose, after kind of those big games. I mean, a few months after that Spurs game, February 2006, you called up to the Scotland under-21 squad to face Iceland by Maurice Malpass. You'd been capped, I think, but under-17, under-18s, but how did you find the under-21s when you called up?
Yeah, I was capped right up, mate. Right for kind of 15s Victory Shield, I got capped right up, and then when I get the call up for the 21s, obviously that was a couple of years. I was in 19 at the time. I played with the under-19s with Scotland to get the 21s call up. It was good, but I mean, a few of the lads were saying to me all season, like, why are you not in the 21s and stuff? And I never really took much thought to it until they started saying it to me, and I was like, well, actually, why am I not? Because a guy for fucking Kilmarnock who's not even playing their first team there, or a guy do you know what I mean? It's like, why am I not? So I started, I don't know who made the call, mate, I don't even know if it was the manager, you know. He maybe gave the call, and I went up, but mate, it was the worst thing I could have done, because I got injured up there, and then I was just ready. Mick McCarthy, before I went away with the 21s, had said to me he was going to give me a run of games, because it looked as if we were kind of dead and buried, and he said, I think you've deserved your chance, so you've done the kind of reserves and training and stuff. He was going to give me a run of games. So he'd said that to me after I played I got on against Birmingham, I think it was. Then went away with the 21s, and then I got a kind of rolled my ankle up there and done a ligament my ankle. And during that time, Mick McCarthy got sacked when I was out doing my rehab. So that was a bit of a gutter, to be honest, mate. And at that time as well, we were talking about kind of a new contract and kind of, well, obviously it looks as if we were going to get relegated even in February, mate. We were really struggling for points. So we're talking about a new contract, and I was wanting to kind of leave that until maybe I'd played the few games and maybe be in a better position to kind of talk to him about a contract. That was a decision that I'd made, and bloody hell, that backfired, mate.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, well, because McCarthy, obviously, the run we were on, rock bottom. I mean, he eventually got sacked, which was, a decision which, it's strange in some senses and not in others. A real strange one, but because he brought so many of those young players through, in terms of bringing them from a whole host of clubs. I mean, it must have hit that squad quite hard because it was Mick McCarthy who gave them all a chance.
Big time. I remember walking out when I'd found out, mate. I was kind of holding the tears back. He had that impact on so many. It was like a kind of father figure. Like he'd be tough with you, but very kind of fair, and he was complimentary as well, mate. And he'd give you that boot if you needed it, but then he'd give you that arm round you. And he was brilliant. He was superb for a lot of the young guys. And I was actually fighting the tears when he'd left. I'm thinking I was gutted for him. I just didn't think he deserved it because he never got back whatsoever, mate. I mean, you look at the money we spent that summer, it was nothing at all. And it was and a lot of frees. And to stay in that league, as you know, like in the club's found out since, you need top quality. And I mean, the money they ended up spending for the years on, I was actually gutted for Mick McCarthy that he never got a chance to even spend really that much money at Sunderland at all, because I feel as if he could have done great.
Yeah, he kind of, I always thought he kind of almost overachieved with that squad, and he he paid for overachieving really, which is a bit odd. But yeah, I mean, you're 20-year-old and you've got that bit of experience under your belt, but and it's a strange one. I don't know kind of what the story was. You might go through it, but I mean, just from looking at it now, looking back, I mean, you're 20-year-old, under 21s, got a bit of experience in the Premier League. We're dropping down to the Championship. I mean, on paper, you'd think that's exactly the type of player you want to hold on to. Those young players who've got that experience at a higher level, could drop down, and then hit the ground running in the Championship. But how did that all play out where you ended up leaving after only a year?
Well, firstly, mate, I feel as if I would have been more equipped to play in the Championship. I would have been ready to play in the Championship. I was not ready to play in the Premiership. I was out my depth, not good enough. To drop to the Championship, that's probably approved when I kind of went on a couple of years later that I was more than ready to play at that level, because it's such a big jump. So it was a gutter to then. It was my agent, to be honest, mate, at the time, where we'd spoke to Mick McCarthy before he was sacked, and then about the contract. Then he was forcing it with the club, and there was no chairman and no manager in place. So it was kind of speaking to the chief exec at the time, and he said, "No, you said you were offering them something." And he's like, "Well, I can't offer anything because there's no chairman and manager to make the decisions, so I'm on my own here." He's like, "Right, so what's it like?" He says, "But if you want an answer, then I can't give a contract out now." And my agent took that as like worst news out. Like bad work for him, to be fair. And he went to the press and said it was a bit of a joke how they kind of treated us and all this. But I'm a young guy. I've not got a clue what's going on, mate. I'm just letting him try and do his job. But he stitched me up a treat, because after that, it ends up, because I've not played that many games, not many teams in the Championship know anything about me. It's like I end up needing to drop to League One to Rotherham, and he's promising me, the loads of Championship teams want you, just trust us with this and all the rest there during that summer. And then Sunderland got a chairman, Niall Quinn came in as chairman and manager at the time. And there was lads who weren't getting a sniff at all, and they were getting contracts handed out left, right and centre. And I think if my agent would have kept his nose clean, I would have got an offer of a contract, and I would have been hoping to kind of do a lot better for the club than I'd done the previous season, mate. It'd just been kind of a level that I would have been maybe better at and been able to grow in as a young guy, and it had not been as challenging as the Premiership. It obviously still a really good level, but you need that bit extra special to get to be playing in the Premiership, and I wasn't able for it at the time. So he stitched me up a bit, the agent, and I ends up at Millmoor, mate, playing League One for Rotherham in a dog fight. But that made me grow up. That made us grow up, mate.
Yeah, I mean that explains a lot, because, like I said, on paper, and I'm reading even in kind of Quinny's book that he wrote when he said it was kind of panic stations when he took over and half the squad wanted to leave and he was desperate for players, and you're kind of a Scotland under 21, played a few times in the Premier League, but you're leaving. So I was kind of looking back at it and thinking, I don't really get this when I was looking back.
I feel like crying, mate. Now you're saying that, jeez, it's terrible. He's proper stitched me up, that agent. So he was actually, when I signed with Rotherham, mate, I left that agent just for that alone, because I loved Sunderland as a football club, mate. Like, I thought the people round the place were amazing people. The lads up there, as I said, the banter was brilliant, and even in the tough times, mate, people with smiles on their faces, and it was tough times for the fans as well. But I can kind of see that. I've been through tough times supporting Celtic when I was young, and it's the same passion I've seen in the fans, that you want to be able to do well for them, and not being given that chance where I feel as if I'd maybe been able to do better for them the following season in the Championship. Not to be given that chance, looking back, is obviously a big regret, but nothing I could have done about, really, mate, when my agents obviously get a tongue on them that's absolutely huge. So it's stitched us up.
Yeah. All those tough times when you were young, when Celtic finished second, I feel for you.
Oh, don't mention it.
I feel for you, Martin.
I don't mention it. We had to give them one. We'll give them one title again last year, mate, and then we'll be back on it again this year.
Yeah, I'll snap your hand off for second for Sunderland next season. But anyway, you said you went to Rotherham for a year, and then you had 7 years at Doncaster, most of them under Sean O'Driscoll. I mean, I think there was only really Doncaster and Ross County where you spent more than a year. I mean, would it be safe to say that Doncaster time was kind of the most settled of your career?
Yeah, definitely. It was the most I enjoyed it. Obviously, the older I've got, I've kind of flipped from club to club. I've kind of been chasing Mars a bit, mate, since my injury at Doncaster the last couple of years. My time at Doncaster, I got injured, but the first few years there, I absolutely loved it. And it was a great way of playing. The manager was top drawer. He was, total opposite to Mick McCarthy. It was all about on the training ground. Very strange cat, like it. Walking past him and stuff, you couldn't get a combo with him. But on the training ground, he was top drawer, and I just loved the style of play, mate. It was brilliant. It brought out the best in me, and it was that. I would say that was my most enjoyable time of football on the park.
Yeah, he's done well as a coach, O'Driscoll. But you had a brief stay at Barnsley, and then you went back up to Scotland with Ross County, where you had 3 years with a brief stay at Shrewsbury in the middle. And at Ross County, you won the Scottish League Cup. You scored in the semi-final to beat Celtic, penalty at Hampden. And then you went on to beat Hibs in the final, which, incredible achievement. Ross County's first major trophy in their history, but not just to kind of play a part in it, but get a penalty in the semi-final. That must have been an incredible season in 2016.
It was. Obviously, as you say, it was the first trophy in the club's history, and major trophy. And then we finished top 6 that season as well. So for a club that size in that league, it was a big achievement. I look fondly back in them times as well. And again, it was similar. There was a great group of lads, and I feel as if you get a dressing room that's tight and they go to war with each other, then it's half the battle, really, mate. And that's what we had up there. And we didn't really fear going into any games, even against Celtic. At the time, Celtic were under Ronnie Delia, and they were winning the league pretty comfortably, but we weren't untouchable really.
Mm.
Until Brendan Rodgers came in, and then you just couldn't get near them. The ball was never at risk, and they just really knew what they were doing. It was rather than Ronnie Dealey at the time. It was we've got better players, we'll win the game. So you always had a chance of getting something out of the game with that. To then them having the best players in the league and the best manager and the best way of playing, then you're really chasing your arse through the smaller clubs. So it was, but that was a great year, and to do that in the semis, it was. I couldn't go to my mum and dad's house for about a month after that, mate. I'd have been chucked out in the back garden.
I mean, did you feel the nerves before that penalty? Because I mean, I was getting the butterflies just watching it, to be honest.
It went on for ages, mate. They got a guy sent off just before it. I played a ball through to the wee striker, and he nipped in, and the guy was last man, and Effie Ambrose was last man, and he brought a wee striker down, get sent off. And I think he took about 3 minutes to argue with the ref. Then he took about another 2 minutes to get off the park. And then by that time, they made a sub. So to wait the sub coming on, they brought a striker off, took a striker off, put a defender on. So that all in, mate, it took 5 or 6 minutes for the full process. I'm just thinking, geez, oh man, hurry up. Let us get on with this. Like, so you probably see my Dan gave me the finger, like try to get me to miss and that. But it was brilliant, mate. And I scored, and I just didn't know what to do. Like when I scored, couldn't celebrate. As I said, I couldn't have went home if I celebrated, so I just kept running, mate, like Forrest Gump. I just kept running around the park. Can't put my arm up, can't do anything, no knee slides, no nothing. I'll just keep running. So that was that, mate. It was kind of muted celebrations for me. It was just a run, really, and that was me. Aye.
Yeah, and like we said, the final. I mean, you won through a last-minute goal, which I think made it even sweeter. But I mean, you were kind of would have been about 30-ish at the time, or I mean, were you maybe kind of giving up on thoughts of winning a major trophy? But by that point,
I mean, I'd got promotion twice with Doncaster. I got promotion twice with Doncaster. Won League One twice. Won it once and got promotion for the playoffs once. So you're always kind of on the search for where you could maybe win. Did I think it was going to be at Ross County, mate? No, never. But even here now, where I'm playing now at Halifax in the National League, I still want to win the league. Do you know what I mean? That never leaves you. You just want to be somewhere where you feel as if they're doing it right, and you've got a chance at going at it to try and win something. And that's kind of what you play football for. Is getting promotion and winning, and they're the memories you take forward, mate. So I want to do that again before I retire. So it was never dead in my head in the thought of winning something. But no, I didn't really think in my head, mate, that it'd be in Dingwall for Ross County. No, definitely not.
Yeah, I saw you right behind the captain Andrew Davis as well when he lifted the trophy. You definitely enjoyed that.
Do you know the big man?
No, I just saw he was him who lifted it that day.
Aye, that's right, mate. Aye, obviously I think he's from Yarm. Yarm, so not that far away. That's how I was asking if you know him. So, the big man, he was the captain. He was a great leader. I was right behind him, mate. It's a bit cringy, to be fair. I should have went down the line a bit more. I don't know why I was right up there. But I always wanted to be right in the middle. But I cringy looking back now, mate. I'm a wee bit older, but great times, mate. Great night that night. Back in Glasgow, went to my dad's pub. All the boys came. Great celebrations. Had my oldest boy there. My youngest wasn't born yet. Had my oldest there, and he was at the final. He was at the semis as well. And they're just things you'll cherish forever, really, mate.
Yeah, good times. But you moved on. You went to Partick Thistle and then Dundee, which unfortunately ended in relegation from the SPL. And then you signed for Halifax at the beginning of last season. And last season, 4 goals and 39 appearances. And you've just signed on for another year in the National League. I mean, at the minute, are you just thinking you want to keep playing as long as possible? Is that the plan for now?
I do. I want to keep playing. I'm doing my coaching as well now. I'm actually starting a role at Doncaster in the next few weeks to kind of go in there and the academy in some kind of basis and get going with the badges and doing a little degree this year as well and management and stuff. So trying to kind of get a few boxes ticked off for the CV, mate. So so it opens up when the time's right to call it a day. But after my couple of years out at Doncaster, towards the end of the time at Doncaster, I always kind of had it in my head that hopefully I'll get the couple of years back at the end of my career, and I'm still hoping to do that. I hope me obviously just play as long as possible, mate, until the legs say no more. So I feel fit and strong now, mate. So hopefully I can continue into my late 30s. I'm hoping maybe even touching the old 4-0 mark, mate. Who knows?
Well, I'm coming up with that now, and like I said, I'm struggling to play with a burn in the back garden, so I hope you do better than that. But long-term ambition is that. So you're down the road with that, but long-term ambition, management, coaching, or just wherever that takes you.
Possibly, mate. I mean, I think it's important now that when I'm getting into these, when I'm getting into doing my badges and I'm getting into doing the degree and just getting a bit of experience, that I might fall into that. I love coaching, or I might fall into something different in the game, like recruitment, or even like the course I'm doing, it incorporates a kind of director of football role. Or you never know what opportunity will come along, mate, and I want to just kind of be as open-minded to it all as possible and see kind of where my strengths lie in the game. Coaching, I might be hopeless at it, mate. I might be really good at it. Time will tell with that. So the more you coach, the more you speak to people, the more you do kind of these degrees and little courses and stuff, the more you learn about yourself as a where your attributes will lie. So we'll see what the future holds with all that, mate. And but I certainly see it in football in some capacity because I love it still, and I'll always love it, to be honest, mate. It's just kind of inbred in me. It's how I was brought up and how I'll bring my kids up as well. So it's just it's just in me, mate. So I want to hopefully get into something different within the game when I'm done.
Yeah. Just mentioned what you do to our kids, bringing them up, and I brought mine a Sunderland, bringing up my oldest is a Sunderland fan, and felt like such a bad parent. He was in tears at the playoffs last season, but he has to learn something.
You do. Although my time at Sunderland it wasn't great in a personal point of view. Even that thing that happened with the video thing was obviously went so long without mentioning. That was that's the main negative I took out that full time, because I've got none but fond memories about the football club itself, the training ground, the stadium, the people around the place, the friends I've made there that I still keep contact with. That it's such a fantastic club that's one of the main ones. Certainly in England, it's Leeds, Sunderland, and Doncaster's the three that I would keep most of an eye out for. That I really hope that the club get back up again, because what a club it is, and they deserve to be much higher. And hopefully this year will be a year to get to the Championship again, mate, because they certainly deserve that level at least. That's not the one above.
Yeah, well, see, I'm trying not to think about it too much until it gets started again, to be honest. But
yeah, made some good signings, though, mate. Made some good signings.
Yeah, we have. It's slowly but surely we're getting there this summer. I think we're trying to box a bit clever, but we'll see how it goes. But just in terms of just quickly finishing off on that Sunderland point, I think I read or I heard you say somewhere that, and I might be misquoting you on this one, so tell us if I'm talking rubbish, but I'm sure I read that you said that basically the Sunderland move was a really good opportunity, but probably came at the wrong time. Would you going to say that was fair?
Yeah, totally fair, mate. If I was probably given that same opportunity I would say maybe 3-4 years down the line, then mentally I was more able for it. At the time, I just was a young guy without any experience. Things had probably came a bit too easy for me, mate. That at the time we'd coming through Leeds' academy and then going to Sunderland. That it was to then go into that level. It was I just wasn't ready for it mentally, mate. I hadn't played the games. I hadn't had the tough times. I hadn't had the good times. I hadn't had the learning experiences that you can really get some vital learning points from. It was just an easy kind of youth transition into a proper football club, which it was just it was a struggle going into that, mate. And I was just not ready for it. Even coming into games and stuff, I'm thinking, like, you're worried about you playing very safe when you go on. You're playing within yourself. You're playing little 10-yard passes, trying to not give the ball away. The more you're focused on not giving the ball away, inevitably you're going to give the ball away. You know what I mean? It's just, if that's your full focus. So instead of kind of get out and knowing what you're good at, I was just focused on playing pretty safe and trying not to let MD down, which I know obviously you learn down the line what you're good at and what you can bring to the party. And so it came at the wrong time, definitely. And but it was, I can look back at a couple of the fondest memories that I've got in the game, mate. Make my debut in the Premiership, which was incredible, and nobody will take that away from me, how bad I was or whatever. It's still there. So yeah, but as I said, made some great pals as well, mate. So it's a lot of fond memories still from up there, and I really hope the football club do well going forward. So here's hoping, mate, that this is a year.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Like I said, that Tottenham game turned on its head when you went off.
You're right, mate. I'm going to take that forward. Actually, that's what happened.
Well, all the best, Martin. I mean, with pre-season for a start, I hope you get through that. But this season with Halifax, hope you just missed out the playoffs last season. Hope you're pushing for that. But all the best for the future, Martin. And
really appreciate that, mate. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much, mate.
No, cracking stuff. It's been great. Cheers, Martin. And thank you to everyone again for listening. Keep a look out on the website for all the latest reports dropping at Roker Report. But from us, it's bye for now.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.